Hello, everyone. I'm Allegra Pearl,
I'm Vanhonacker Moore.
I'm Melanie McQueen.
I'm Erin Hendricks.
And I'm Josie Rustin.
and we are a group of students from the University of Guelph. This semester, we took an Arts and Science interdisciplinary course run by Professor Baswin that was a community project. Our group was lucky enough to team up with Transition Guelph as our community partner. Transition Guelph is an organization that focuses on sustainable and local farming initiatives and involving the Guelph community in accessing sustainably farmed goods. They pose questions like, how can we increase the sustainability of local food to all Guelph community members? How can we ensure future food security? How can we balance affordable local food prices while ensuring steady profits for the local farmer? These questions are of high importance as they revolve around pressing topics, one of which being sustainable farming. This topic is extremely relevant to the unfolding climate crisis, as unsustainable agriculture practices are the primary cause of climate change, habitat destruction, biodiversity loss, water use, pesticide use, and pollution. Another crucial topic these questions touch upon is food security, which is defined by the UN as available, accessible, adequate food for all, which is obviously extremely important as humans require food for survival. Our group was interested in ways in which local farmers could increase their sales and in turn increase community member engagement and support of local farms. We decided our research project to have 3 different parts. The first part was field research, the second part was an in-depth literature review, and the third part was synthesizing the information gathered from the previous sections to formulate suggestions and recommendations for how local food producers can improve their marketing techniques and improve overall local food sales. So, today we are presenting our bank of strategies to you guys. Hopefully you can utilize whichever ones are applicable to you and make beneficial changes to your current methods to improve sales, and by doing so, improve the overall accessibility of local food and spread awareness about food sustainability and food security.
There are 2 unique things that small local farmers do especially well and that we believe they should consider in their marketing techniques. The first is sustainability. Although there exists a wide variety of measurements of environmental impact, such as environmental footprint, nitrogen footprint, soil loss, biodiversity loss, and carbon emissions, in the life cycle analysis of our agricultural system, there seems to be a consensus that local organic farming and corresponding regenerative techniques are less environmentally costly. Local farming also allows for fewer carbon emissions due to transport, storage, and processing, but also more nutrient-dense foods. The second is the role that small farms play in community building. Our small farmers in North America rely heavily on the loyalty of their community members to stay afloat. Later, we will discuss some strategies that farmers can use to generate loyal customers that can even become advocates for their farm. Transforming a space into a place is an anthropological theme that can be applied to self-marketing farms. I have seen our local farmers transform an empty parking lot downtown into a community hub and ultimately a community destination. Trevor Hancock, who has a Bachelor of Medicine in Surgery and a Master's in Public Health, came up with the idea of a mandala of health. His framework applies to local farmers because he believes that health is more than simply the absence of disease. It has to do with how connected one feels to their community too. Doctors, vets, environmentalists, and community planners have started coming together now because of an idea of one health, where human, animal, and environmental health feed into one another. Our sustainable farmers in Guelph take care of more than our physical health, but also our planet and our community. This is something that I believe needs to be celebrated and included in their marketing.
For our methods, we used qualitative research and we did interviews with 2 local farms, a local school, a local old age home, a marketing expert, and a local food initiative. So we had some ethical considerations that we had to take into account. Because of the small geographic communities pose greater confidentiality concerns when reporting findings due to unintentional identity disclosure, this was something we had to take into account and be wary of while conducting our research. Another ethical consideration we had to take into account was that some farmers that we were interviewing were smaller, just starting up, or were admittedly struggling in certain areas. We wanted to be careful with our questions and clear that at any time the farmers could stop the interview or opt out of answering questions. For confidentiality reasons, we are not going to say the names of the farmers or the institutions we interviewed, and we'll explain why in just a moment. Also, we will not be talking about each interview, rather the details of our interviews will come up throughout the presentation. For our interviews, we came up with objective questions based on a few main topics that were specifically based on whether it was an institution or a farm. For each interview, we gathered the information, paraphrased, and transcribed.
We found 5 main themes from our research and our interviews: social media, consumer habits, marketing within the farmers markets, selling to institutions, and on-farm strategies. Marketing through social media and creating an online presence is very important for farmers. For example, social media can be used to gather statistics on their customers and audience they're reaching, such as their age, location, and when they are active. This can be a helpful tool for tailoring your marketing techniques to your specific audience. In order to encourage shopping locally and sustainably, a lasting effect needs to be created by informing the community on exactly why it's important, not just how to participate. An informative website is great marketing for a sustainable farm. It lets the customers know that they can be proud of shopping locally and supporting sustainability.
Some of the farmers that we talked with did not have an online presence. Due to this, we interviewed a local food initiative here in Guelph known as Taste.rio. This is an amazing option for these farmers as they do free generic online marketing. They offer free basic benefits that include being listed on their website, as well as being advertised through their blogs and online campaigns to increase public awareness and interest of your farm. For example, during strawberry season, they might write blog posts about going strawberry picking with your farm, and they would mention your farm as a great place to do this activity. This is a great first step for farmers as it introduces them to the power of online marketing without costing them time or money. This initiative is also beneficial to those farmers who already have their own online presence, as it serves as additional advertising that is free of cost.
Offer more to the public than farming alone. Remind them that you offer a chance to connect with their community, and that as someone who is dependent on the community, you are held accountable for good products that you are proud of. On your website and social media, tell your story. Several farmers in Guelph already do this, which we think is great because it makes them seem really authentic and not to mention likable. Put out press releases to the local news, who are always looking for content, if you had an interesting story that happened on the farm or an interesting startup story. This is free advertising for you, and they have something to talk about. Register with Google Maps and Taste.rio. This, 1, makes your farm seem more official, which will increase your credibility. 2, offer you free advertising to those who are already interested in the surrounding farms. And 3, establish you as a member of the farming community in Guelph in the eyes of the public. Part of building a loyal customer base is reminding your customers that you're still there and active. If you get into a conversation with someone at the market, ask them if they follow you on social media or if they wish to be added to your mailing lists. Then you can keep them in the loop of what's in season and what you're selling and where you'll be. This will further establish their loyalty. On Facebook, create events that people can invite their friends to. This is free and a way for your customers to advertise to one another. Self-marketing businesses are heavily reliant on word of mouth, making your customers some of your best advocates. Remember that on social media, marketing is different from advertising. People will not want to join your social media if it looks like advertising instead of a way for them to connect to the farm. Share stories, keep it light, and keep it fun. People will associate your business with positive thoughts without feeling pressured to buy a product. Many of those buying your product are in part doing it in resistance to the fast-paced and impersonal conspicuous consumption of grocery stores. You are not a grocery store because you can offer something more. You can offer a more personal approach and really bridge that gap between producers and eaters through social media, like by posting about personal thoughts or events on the farm. Use social media to showcase the quality of your product and improve your customers' understanding of the food system. Consider what would make you want to pay more for a product to justify the value of your product. For example, lowering food miles, and implement this into your social media. Don't assume that people understand the current food system, as according to present literature, food security on a global scale is only recently becoming a common issue. People trust their producers by default. Higher numbers of followers on average were statistically significantly associated with hosting social events after I did a t-test, with a probability of no relationship existing at lower than 0.05, or 5% when controlling for the amount that they post. While I understand that many farmers here prefer more personal connections, if you wish to have more followers on social media, it may be a good idea to host in-person social events, and you can use the tip that I brought up before to create Facebook events.
In order to display these marketing strategies, we created a farm called Carms Farms and made an Instagram page. You are welcome to follow or view the Instagram page to see the types of photos we did and the captions we used. The posts we did were based off of our research. We used this as an educational platform and a visual example for farms to see how to utilize social media marketing. This is the caption of our first post. Meet the Carms. Ellie and Carl and their dog Doug own and operate a 40-acre farm here in the Guelph area. They are committed to providing deliciously organic, local food in the Guelph community. They provide horse-drawn tours around their property every other Wednesday. Follow this page and tag 3 friends to be entered in a chance to win a free tour, a jar of our local honey, and a wonderful afternoon spent with the Carms. Other posts talk about our produce, workshops, giveaways, when we would be at the farmers market, and posts that would be relevant for our farm. It was really fun making this page, and it will remain on Instagram after the semester, but will not be posting anymore.
In Ontario, consumers don't know or fully comprehend where their food comes from and what has been done in the production process. Farm Food Care Ontario is a nonprofit organization based on local farm consumer habits. Their purpose is to answer consumer questions about food and farming to increase awareness of the local farms that surround us and the benefits of buying locally. Their main goal is to connect the community with their specific local farms that meet their needs as consumers.
Considering what the consumer may want to hear in order to justify a more expensive purchase is very important. Making it easy for them to give you money is a great general business strategy. You can do this by distracting from the fact that you're taking their money through small talk and offer several methods of payment. Literature in psychology states that exchanging cash is more difficult for people and they are less likely to spend as much as if they are paying debit or credit. As a general argument concerning what I found in the literature for marketing on small farms, you can manipulate what is tangible to the customer and correspondingly the value of your product. When it comes to human beings, we value what is tangible. As stated before, make money intangible. You can also make the value of your goods more tangible. The true cost movement is a movement in which ethical producers and consumers seek to communicate the true environmental and social costs of cheap food. Global food corporations accumulated $4.8 trillion of unpaid debt towards the environment according to the FAO during the year of 2010. A person called Volkert Engelsman started company Nature and More, or otherwise known as Ecosta. And he has this amazing TED Talk that we will link below, as well as the name of his website. This company allows people to scan the tags of their produce on their smartphones to qualitatively see how much they are helping the planet by buying this product and learn more about the farmer in collaboration with the FAO. Monetizing and or tangibly quantifying the effect on the environment and on people is called true cost accounting, and it is a really interesting idea. So as for small farms, what you can do to start is to describe in layman's terms what makes your product more sustainable than the conventional producer, and how conventional producers are actually costing the consumer more in taxes for healthcare and environmental cleanup. This is a screenshot from the Ecosta website, and it contains all the farmers and growers, as well as information about them and their products.
This is an example of the type of calculation that Ecosta is doing in collaboration with the FAO. For example, they're quantifying the effect of conventional grapes as opposed to organic grapes in liters of water. Local products are scientifically proven to be more nutritious because they lose nutrients with transport, which boosts the value of your product, not to mention the taste. Remind people at the market that your carrots are so delicious that all you have to do is sprinkle them with some salt and pepper and toss in olive oil before baking, and they're a great holiday side dish, for instance. A tip that I saw in a video by John Suskovich, who had this idea of farm marketing funnel, a series which I would recommend checking out on YouTube, which I link below, is to do appearances at schools. Hand out flyers, and children will likely tell their parents about what they learned, and this is free publicity.
We gathered some marketing strategies for selling at farmers markets. In my interview with a local farm, they talked about the importance of the social aspect of farmers markets and marketing your product to be more appealing. For example, showcasing the freshness of your fruits and vegetables and making your booth attractive and approachable. Chatting with your customers and being social creates loyalty and will bring back customers.
Some ways to
improve your stand at the market are firstly, to make piles to create the illusion of abundance. Supermarkets use this technique, and people don't want to feel as though they're getting what's left of what is already picked through. So that's why it works. You want to make the last person coming in feel like they're getting the same selection as the first one. Create clear signs with prices and the name of your farm. If someone finds out that they cannot afford a product from you when they ask, they may feel embarrassed and not come back in the future, even if they buy the product in the moment. Stand up so that you're at eye level with your consumer. This makes you look engaged. Keep the leaves and stems on your produce to remind people of its freshness and the quality that they're paying for. Look clean. People love a casual farm chic look, but make sure that you look clean and approachable. Have a checklist of what to bring with you and note what people are complaining about or admiring of in the market. Create a market diary. Keep track of how much you sold and comments that people make. For example, if you hear a lot of, "We just can't eat a whole turkey," this may mean that you need to have a few half turkeys available too. You can make the market a CSA pickup area. This may be easier for those who live downtown. Make your product visible. If you're selling products that need to be refrigerated, for example, meat, invest in a refrigerated glass container or partner up with someone else in the market to purchase one. People are more likely to buy it if they can see it, so this piece of equipment will likely pay for itself. Know some simple recipes that you can give to people who are curious about a product, but not sure how to make it. Remember, your food is already naturally more flavorful. Offer samples that cooperate with those within the market. For example, a video of an interview with Kat White, a market manager in San Francisco, that I will link below, talked about how someone in the market sold tomatoes near a stand who sold sea salt, and they cooperated to create samples. You're going to be able to pass on customers from one stand to another for synergistic benefits. If you say, "I put some spices from one vendor on here," they will want to recreate this delicious creation and visit both of you. Work on a system to manage customer flow. Be able to accommodate the customer who wants to get in and out really quickly and the one who wants to stay and chat. You don't want to gain a reputation as the one who takes forever. Distract from the monetary exchange, which is awkward by nature, by chatting. Mirror the body image of your customer. If they don't look like they want to talk, don't be too pushy. Be polite and kind.
Our original plan was to interview health centers in Guelph, such as Guelph General Hospital, and private institutions such as Homewood Health Center. However, after reaching out on numerous accounts, we had still not received any response from these institutions. This may be due to privacy and financial reasons, as health institutions may not want to disclose where and why they receive their food from certain institutions.
Through our interviews with local institutions, we were able to deduce two major roadblocks that stop these institutions from sourcing local food. While interviewing a local marketing expert, she stated that in Ontario, only 2% of the population live on farms, so we're trying to feed the other 98%. This highlights the first of the two main issues encountered: quantity. Farms have a hard time supplying large enough quantities of specific ingredients to specific institutions. An institution mentioned that the food that the farmers produce is distributed evenly between the shares, which makes it hard to uniformly feed large numbers of people, such as in a cafeteria, and to plan recipes ahead of time. Another roadblock that was mentioned was the issue of delivery. A local institution explained that they had to stop running their cafeteria off of majority local food as they were having delivery issues. One strategy that was continuously mentioned to overcome these barriers is for farmers who are capable of doing so to create a one-stop shop where institutions can source all of their food and have it delivered. Thus, our research suggests that supplying to local institutions is very complex and has multiple barriers. However, it is possible if the correct criteria are met, and there are institutions that are interested in making the switch. Therefore, there is a demand for it.
Some tips that I found in my research for what you can do selling to institutions is first post flyers on message boards and track the number of tabs taken from different locations. And then you can just re-put up where there's a lot of tabs taken. Create a fresh sheet, which is an idea that John Suskovich talked about in his series. And this is similar to a business card, but it lists essentially what you're offering right now in terms of what's in season, delivery days, for which you should take rush hour into consideration while deciding, as well as prices for larger quantities, for example, per case lot. So here's an example that we created for Carm's Farms. As you can see, the prices are listed in case lots, and it talks a little bit about who we are, as well as contact information and delivery information. So it's all essential information that a business can look at very quickly and make decisions upon. Update the sheet according to what you have available every week. Make sure you only list on the fresh sheet what you know you have in abundance, because you don't want to turn people away. Another thing you can do is to generate loyalty by offering perks to your present loyal customers, like deliveries outside of the general delivery hours, or tell them stuff that you may have in smaller quantities that you couldn't put on your fresh sheet. For example, I still have some squash from last week, but didn't have enough to put it on the sheet. Would you be interested? This will make them feel very special and generate loyalty. Also, follow up. Ask customers if they like the product, and this shows that you care about what they think. Take note of their order patterns. You may know what they need before they do, and then you can check in with them about some things. For example, are you running low on X? And if they normally order that from you at about the time of the month or week, then it's very good. Under-promise and over-deliver. You are relying heavily on word of mouth. If you over-deliver and generate loyalty, they may tell their friends about you or remain loyal in the least.
It's very common for local farms to stick to old-fashioned methods to produce their food without incorporating new technologies, which sets them back to large competitors. Large competitors tend to use heavy machinery, which advances their production process much faster than smaller farms. Local farms should focus on strategizing ways to increase quantities of food by minimizing costs. It's a key factor when producing their crops.
One of the farmers that I interviewed focused on regenerative farming and how the elements of the farm support each other by recycling and being interconnected. They emphasized that each part of the farm had an important role to play. Some things that they produce in greater abundance, but the scale of the enterprises are respectful to the capacity of the farm. As they learn more about their land, they recognize that farming in the past has tended to reduce the land's capacity and fertility. Farming needs to focus more on being sustainable, but work at regenerating. The farmer said, "We are a diverse ecological farm system. Our goal is to create and pay attention to what works well for the lay of the land, seasonality, and what just works well here."
A common strategy that I found during my research was to maximize your acreage as opposed to expanding. Expanding too quickly is a trap that many farmers fall into because more land means more labor and delegation, and therefore a lower profit margin. As a small farm, a strategy that seems to work for many is instead to maximize their acreage by first employing smart, biologically intensive strategies like symbiotic farming. You can use cover crops, which are crops that add to your soil quality and help manage soil erosion. You can use a tarp at the end of the season to kill ruminants as opposed to tilling. This actually helps soil as opposed to destroying it, and a tarp is a relatively cheap piece of farm equipment. Using permanent raised beds like the ones in the picture, this avoids wasting compost because you can put it into the bed, and also you maintain soil quality, and it avoids the need for a tractor. And also, it helps drain the soil, which is important to extend your growing season in Canada. extending your growing season with simple methods like caterpillar tunnels. These are cheap plastic tunnels with metal hoops, which essentially blanket the plants and keep them warmer longer. Some of the farmers in my research considered things as simple as a two-wheel tractor, which is easier to maneuver around edges and therefore maximizes your acreage by minimizing turning space. You can offer on-farm services like paid workshops or free education workshops in exchange for volunteering. You can also write a book on your farm adventures. Several farmers in Guelph have done this. Offer your farm as a form of family entertainment, or be part of like a farm crawl with other small farms, or carriage rides, for instance. This is important for advertising because, as mentioned before in the social media section, to establish popularity, you kind of need a social aspect on the farm. Amy Bumbako created a thesis, and this pertained directly to the topic that we're talking about. She brought up that small farmers could learn about the techniques used by the Makers Movement and open source ecology. The Makers Movement is a revisiting of human ingenuity and creativity, as people value building things themselves and invent new machines or creations. There's a huge network of tool and information sharing and a general support of one another that is beneficial to all. Open source ecology is an idea presented by Marcin Jakubowski, who is attempting to create an easy manual for cheap versions of the 50 most important machines that people can build at home. And these include anything from a 3D printer to a tractor. In general, it's to help each other out. So you can do this too. You can start off with something as simple as a Facebook buy and sell, workshops, tool sharing partnerships. These can save a lot of money for you in the long run. Strategizing ways to increase quantities of food by minimizing costs is the goal of Jean-Martin Fortier, an urban farmer whose website we will link below. He also has a book with all these kinds of strategies if you're interested.
As previously mentioned, our project was designed to synthesize a bank of strategies for farmers to use. Thus, we hope you guys learned something from our presentation and hopefully can utilize our research to make beneficial changes to improve sales and by doing so, improve the overall accessibility of local food and spread awareness about food sustainability and food security.
To conclude our project, we would like to thank Professor Baswin for his constant support throughout the semester, providing us with direction to ensure our optimal success. We would also like to give a special thank you to our community partner, Steve from Transition Guelph, for being so attentive and devoted to our research. We appreciate your availability and time over the past months. We hope that our findings were beneficial to anyone watching looking to further sustainability and marketing for their farm. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comment section below, and we will get to you as soon as possible. Thank you for watching.